Peasant Productions presents the math of ESP, why it works even if you don't believe in it. Okay, I'm going to play around with the psychology. That's kind of why I can say that I can do something that the governments and militaries and corporations can't. But first I want to come back to this real quick about this for a minute. Obviously one tube would be very limiting in production. Remember that this area here, because we're talking about a full kilometer, a full mile across in diameter, these can be bigger or smaller, but obviously I'm using 1 mile. This area here you're talking about can easily be, 100 yards, at least 100 feet wide, more likely 100 yards. But you can have a whole series of I-beams, hexagon, not hexagram, hexagon beams, glass rod, wire, all of this. And like I said, you're thinking gravity, okay? These all come out. If this whole entire thing is rotating this direction, okay? This whole thing is rotating this way. And each of these puts a little bit of a spin on their situation, especially when, most likely you always have them going so that nothing vibrates itself. But these things, like I said, the tube itself, the cooling tube is going to be quite long, okay? Maybe 1 mile long at the very least for a common wire or something like that, coming out and cooling down and going through all these gaskets, and all of these different ones can be used at different times, different amounts, and each one's extruding. You have no gravity, so there's not going to be any concerns about things being pulled back and forth. You have no friction except for solar winds. So you're not going to have them waving in the breeze. You're not going to have, again, there's no drooping or anything. They're just going to sit there and spin in their little orbit wherever they're at. And because this whole thing is rotating around, or even quite possibly is stationary, and everything else is rotating around it, and you have all of these going out, yeah, that would actually probably be more logical. Go ahead and maintain this at stable, and each of these will have the rotational speed for this, so it's going down. It doesn't matter. Like I say, you can have a glass rod, 10 feet away from an I-beam or a hex beam, and it's zero atmosphere, near nothing there, so there's not a lot of heat transfer directly across. And by the time they come out of these tubes, and if you are using any kind of cooling system, which you are in the dark areas, you can have your plumbing and stuff going down into areas to radiate the heat out. You can be pumping the heat into other areas. Like I said, you can be using waste jets to be spinning these things, all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of variation of what you can be doing within this. Obviously, until we get up there, we start building some of this stuff, and I start going in and really analyzing some of the design that I concepted back then, that I need to see what's available now, what we're working with, and actually start working with the physical properties. There's going to be a difference, but you can have 20 or 30 different tubes sticking down, and again, there's nothing there to cause problems. It's not on an ocean, so it's not waving around. It's in space, okay? It doesn't matter if you got a 10-mile long tube and a 2-foot long tube, okay? They can be right next to each other, and and the only problem you'd have is a 2-foot tube. Obviously, if it's a wire or something like that, it would have to come up and feed off to the side for spools. And remember, the rats need big spools of a heavy wire, most likely some kind of braiding. So you might have something like this, where this whole outer ring here is all cooling, and then it gets out there a ways, and they all come together and they twist together, and you make this wire, and lo and behold, you've got a metal cable this big around, going onto a spool, and it's got 10 or 15 different strands going into it, and they get out there and hook up to an asteroid and tow it in. So there are concepts, there are ideas, there are possibilities. I am not in any way trying to claim to be the absolute of anything. I am simply something that is capable, just as your supercomputer would be, of analyzing massive quantity of data and this kind of stuff. Because I understand energy flow and stuff like that, this kind of stuff is relatively easy for me to see. Now, in the energy flow department, but a slightly different angle, I kind of want to play around with the idea of why I can sit up here and just give my secrets out. Now, like I said, Elon Musk, Richard Branson, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, the greedy people, the not quite Donald Trump arrogant, but the greedy people that want to have lots of money. They have lots of money, and somewhere down the line they actually start to spend it. But like I said, the military, okay, I have a half-brother who works for a corporation that produces war toys, and he gets investigated as per the rules of the United States military, the corporation that he works for, in agreement with the United States military. It has to be secret. Okay? Now, the thing is that, you can run up and say, okay, no more secrets. But if, from a military standpoint, you enter in, you're in enlistment, okay, what happens? You get sent to boot camp where you have a drill sergeant get in your face, insult you until you become a submissive robot who will do whatever he is ordered to do without challenging authority. Okay? It's drilled very heavily into you to obey and not question. So, as you work your way up through the ranks, you get to the 9/11, General Petraeus sitting there and saying, they came up to me a couple of days after the 9/11 bombing and they said, we're going to war. We got this list of, 7 countries we're going to blow the snot out of over there in the Middle East. And everybody thinks he's a fool, and he doesn't get out there and say much of anything. And when he does, the people are so used to, oh, no, you can't talk like that. That can't be true because you're a military person and you're not supposed to tell secrets. Chelsea Manning. People are more outraged that that person had a sex change of their body because they felt more natural as a woman than they do about the fact that this person exposed corruption and got thrown in prison and treated like absolute garbage. Okay? And that person spent an enormous amount of time in prison and having her life threatened simply because the established government system wants to protect secrets. Whether they're corrupt secrets or they're realistic secrets no longer matters. The entire psychological behavior from your country, the citizens themselves, all the way on up, everybody doesn't want to tell on anybody, doesn't want to talk about stuff. They want to keep their little secrets. Who hasn't at least heard of signing non-disclosure and non-competition in most of your big major, corporations and stuff, graphic houses, media houses, movie houses, publishing places, I mean, it's all up and down. It is very standard for everybody to be thinking about having an upper cutting edge on the competition because they have secrets. So everything in your system now is against what has to happen. You have to talk to everybody everywhere. One of the most logical things that we need to do, first off, let me get my little graph up here, picture up here somewhere. Where is it? Come here, shuttle. Yeah, okay, here we are. Okay, we're talking about the shuttle. Like I said, you have no place on your planet that is safe from disaster right now. Nothing. is dependable on your end of the stick. You don't have anything that you can depend on because earthquakes, volcanoes, super typhoons, super typhoons, crop failures, winter freezes, flooding storms, hurricanes that sit and spin, and just, absolute deluges of massive amount of water on every continent, everywhere is something is going wrong, okay? So you're in trouble. And one of the things I proposed was getting your internet up in space, okay? So if you take, 20 to 50 of these shuttles, and you right now start figuring out how to build a canister to drop into these things, which is a powerful transceiver and transmitter, and a huge pile of storage, okay? You get some of these things together, you put your cylinder in the shuttle bay. You set it up so that when you open up the shuttle bay doors, your transmitter and your transceiver antennas there. You take the entire bottom of this thing and you have it facing out from the earth, and you just wrap the heck as much lead into the carbon fibers you can to give it some protection, so that if we have a solar X flare, maybe some of these things might actually be able to kind of survive. And you've got this hardened case in here with all of your electronics in it. And like I said, you take a laptop, you build a Linux internet system, and I forgot to bring, I have a backpacking solar panel that unwraps, and I believe it's 21 watts or something like that. Okay, it's not super huge or anything, but it's a little thing. A laptop and a little solar panel all in one kit that is transceiving and receiving from your satellite's internet. Nobody has to pay any fees to get onto that internet. Everybody gets free access. Right now, right happening, you start putting your data up there. I've got my blog, my Zenfolio, Facebook can go up there, YouTube can go up there, BitChute can go up there. The nasty, naughty people can go up there, and the clean, healthy people, and whatever. But you can start pumping all kinds of data up there. And don't start doing this, but it's fake news. Who cares? Get everything up. Then you sit down and you say, I don't want to read that because that's fake news, and I will read this. And somebody else can read that fake news and decide what they want to do with it, okay? Forget censorship. Just get your stuff up there. It's a big deal in survival to not be sitting there and playing around like you're a couple of kindergartner kids, okay? And that's why I say your military uses, bullying, insulting, and secrecy to keep each level in line. Religion keeps each level in line with, secrecies and stuff like that, and maintaining levels and hierarchies. Corporations, same thing. I'm talking about we got to all start working together. Anybody, anywhere that can chip in, do it. Not worry about it.